Just a second ago, I was still immersed in the exhilaration of clearing a horror game. The next second, I just blinked, and the surrounding scene completely changed. Dim, cold, and old. Looking around, it was all decorated in the American-style villa style of the 1970s and 1980s with a strong sense of age. Glancing at the club in my hand, there was someone kneeling and huddling at my feet. He covered his head with both hands, and his thin body kept trembling, not feeling the expected pain. He slowly looked up and cautiously looked over. His light, brown hair was messy, and his sapphire-like eyes were hidden beneath the strands of hair. With just one look, I recognized his identity. He was the final boss in the horror game I had just cleared. And my current identity, I was the boss's vicious stepbrother. This was a horror game that had just been launched not long ago. Exploration, puzzle solving, chasing, fighting. Various tags and promotional introductions piqued my strong curiosity. I bought and added it to my library on the day the game was launched. It took me several nights to clear it. Among several characters, the one I hated the most was the boss's stepbrother. After his parents died unexpectedly, he took Oliver as his target for venting. Not only did he humiliate and beat Oliver every day, but he also didn't even give him food. Under the inhumane abuse, Oliver gradually turned dark. Eventually, stimulated by the protagonist group, he went on a crazy killing spree of all the living things in the villa. In the mirror, I saw my own familiar face. It seems that I didn't just have my soul transmigrated, I've completely come over. I stammered, What did you call me? Oliver slightly raised his eyes. His lips moved slightly, and he reluctantly called me brother. Probably due to various irresistible factors, Oliver didn't notice that his step-brother had turned into a strange oriental man right in front of him. In his subconscious, I am the step-brother himself. Oliver's eyes were full of hatred and anger. It seemed that if given a chance, he would not hesitate to kill me. My brain was working at full speed. The way to solve danger is to eliminate the source of danger. I swallowed hard. How about hitting him on the head with a stick right now and killing him on the spot? This thought only lasted for 2 seconds and then disappeared without a trace. I'm a person who has never even killed a chicken in my life. How could I possibly have the courage to attack a person? Moreover, I saw the wounds on Oliver's body. The tattered old clothes couldn't cover the bruises. There were large and small wounds all over his body. There was even a wound that ran from his scalp to the edge of his eye, which was really shocking. I put down the stick. It's better to run after all. Leave here before he completely turns dark. Run far away, and then find a way to get back home. After making up my mind, I turned around and ran. As soon as I turned my head, 2 lines of words floated in front of me. Character task. Advance the plot and achieve 100% blackening value for Oliver. Reward. Teleport back to the original position. Note, the current blackening value is 87%. I retracted the foot I had just stepped out. I twirled the stick in my hand. Seeing my action, Oliver trembled and quickly raised the arm he had put down to protect his head. He was shivering, but he didn't even have the slightest intention to run away. He stayed in the same place from beginning to end. I remembered that it wasn't that he didn't want to run, but that he didn't dare to. The original owner, that brute, would grab Oliver by the hair and drag him back to beat him up as long as he detected the slightest intention of Oliver to run away. When in a bad mood, the original owner would even put chains on him and lock him up until Oliver was on the verge of death before letting him out. No, is this right? Brute. Simply too brutish? After hesitating for a long time, I threw the stick in my hand aside and pretended to be disgusted. TSK? What are you pretending to be like this for? Aren't you very good at taking beatings? You're like a useless good for nothing all day long. What are you still standing there for? Get out of here quickly. You're such an eyesore. I pointed at him and scolded him a couple of times, imitating the dialogue in the original plot. The blackening value increased by a fraction. It seems that verbal abuse alone is also useful. I was secretly delighted in my heart. Then there's no need to use violence. He nodded with a hoarse voice. Okay. After saying that, Oliver stood up. Maybe because he had been kneeling for too long. He staggered and fell straight to the side. I instinctively reached out to support him. Oliver seemed to be startled by me and had some kind of stress reaction. When I came to my senses, my forearm was already numb from his biting. Blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth and slid down along the line of my forearm. Only later did I feel the pain spreading from my forearm. I remained expressionless, but I was already screaming wildly inside. Oliver was startled by something. His eyes widened, and he quickly flashed to the corner, staring at me in horror. The tooth marks were terrifying, deeply embedded in the flesh. After Oliver let go of his mouth, the blood flowed even more violently. My eyes were full of tears, and my arm couldn't stop shaking. I just wanted to give him a support. Why did he bite so hard? Forget it. He didn't do it on purpose. Being bullied by that brute all day long. It's no wonder he's not scared. Oliver was stunned. I picked up the water cup on the table and threw it at Oliver's feet. You damn thing. How dare you bite me? Get back to your room and stay there. After saying that, I ran upstairs, holding back my tears. Oliver didn't obey as usual. He stood there in a daze in the empty kitchen for a long time. It wasn't until it got dark outside the window that Oliver stood up. He rubbed his ears, frowned, and looked towards the stairs. The next morning, my arm still ached. The area of the tooth mark was bruised, swollen and turning blue, and the edges were starting to scab. I endured the pain and disinfected it with alcohol, then wrapped it with a bandage. The air in the corridor was stuffy. The wooden floor was cracked. The ceiling was moldy, and there was a thick layer of dust on the light switch. I tiptoed around, afraid that if I stepped on a broken floorboard, I'd fall right through from the second floor. In the original plot, after their parents died, they lost their source of income and could only live on their meager savings. Usually, it was hard enough to fill their stomachs, let alone repair the house. Oliver was in the dining room. He was holding a loaf of bread and about to slice it. Hearing the sound, he quickly turned around. Lunch will be ready soon. I leaned over to see what ingredients there were today. Oliver stiffened and subtly moved about a meter to the side. I saw what was in his hand. Bread, a small piece of cheese, tomatoes, and ham. Apparently, he wanted to make a dry lunch. I immediately lost my appetite. Do you have any eggs? Oliver thought for a moment and nodded. Give them to me. I snatched the knife from his hand and started cutting the tomatoes neatly. Children are in the stage of growing up. How can they always eat such dry stuff? Oliver stood beside, pursing his lips. He stole a glance at the person who was deftly wielding the knife and then quickly averted his gaze. I was selecting seasonings and didn't notice Oliver's gaze. Would it be okay to use this for seasoning? I don't know if he likes this kind of food. It doesn't matter if he doesn't. I'll make some other dishes for him to try later. Oliver couldn't help but cast his gaze again. He clenched his fists and hesitantly took 2 steps forward. I made a simple scrambled eggs with tomatoes with my half-disabled arm. Grimacing in pain, Oliver stood against the wall and remained unmoved even when he saw me sitting at the table. I forgot that the original owner never allowed Oliver to sit at the table and only gave him leftovers. I slapped the table hard and sneered. What? Are you afraid I'll poison you? Come here quickly. You can't skip meals. If you get any thinner, you'll be nothing but skin and bones. Oliver slowly sat down and took a bite under my threatening glare. The next second, his eyes lit up, seeing how much he liked it. I tossed the utensils in my hand aside and put on a look of disgust. Tisk, it's a failure. It tastes as bad as dirt. Eat it all up. You hear? Otherwise, I'll lock you in the basement and let you starve to death. In no time, the plate of scrambled eggs with tomatoes was empty. Oliver licked his lips with a look of lingering desire, his eyes full of longing for food. My heart ached as I watched, but I still kept trying to increase his blackening value with my words. You're like a pig. People like you are just wasting air and land by being alive. You might as well just die soon. Amid those seemingly vicious words, Oliver heard something different. Humph. You've never tasted anything this delicious in your life. Have you? As long as you stop biting me from now on, I'll cook for you again. If you eat well, you'll grow tall. He shook his head, constantly confirming if he had heard wrong. Oliver looked up and stared straight at me as I was still ranting. Actually, I poisoned your food. Scared? Well, it's normal for a useless person like you to be scared. If you beg me now, I might still consider giving you the antidote. I met Oliver's gaze, and the second half of the sentence got stuck in my throat. His eyes were dim, and it was hard to tell his emotions. What kind of look is this? Could he be going to bite me again? I tucked my arms behind my back. Before I could hide them well, Oliver suddenly spoke. His voice was very low, with a hint of supplication. Please. No way. Has this boss been possessed? Didn't he never beg the original owner? Looking at that handsome face getting closer, I was completely stunned. Although he was a bit thin due to malnutrition now, it didn't affect his good looks at all. When I first saw Oliver's character model, I felt that his character setting was a bit off. With such a handsome face, it was impossible to look away. Who would want to abuse him after seeing this face? It's already good not to be his fangirl. Seeing Oliver getting closer and closer, I hurriedly took out the ointment and threw it at him. Get out of here, you ill-bred thing. You stink. I stood up and stepped back, glancing at the ointment that had fallen on the table. Can't use it? Well, with your IQ, what can you do? Just rub it on your body. Such an ugly wound. It's really off-putting to look at. With you here, I can't even eat my meal. Tut. Saying that, I left the restaurant as if fleeing. Oliver sat still on the chair. He rubbed his hand on his own face, then looked at the wounds on his body, and finally lowered his head to smell himself. The only drawback of this game is that the plot is rather cliched. The protagonist and his group took shelter from the heavy rain in a villa halfway up the mountain. Oliver's stepbrother pretended to welcome them, but in fact, he prepared tools every day to hunt them down. During that time, Oliver got in touch with Sophia, the only female character in the protagonist group. From her, Oliver felt kindness he had never experienced before. He originally wanted to help them escape, but they saw Oliver having an intimate conversation with the original character. They surrounded Oliver and wanted to strike first. Sophia was also involved. Without hesitation, she pointed the dagger at his heart. From that moment on, Oliver completely turned evil. He went on a crazy killing spree in the villa and even dismembered the original character into a human flesh jigsaw puzzle and stored it in the fridge. But no matter which ending it is, the original character is doomed to die. And in each ending, he dies miserably. I shivered and didn't dare to think anymore. There is still some time before the appearance of the main character group. Besides increasing the blackening value, I also have to consider the issue of food. After walking around the villa, I found a piece of land that is very suitable for growing vegetables. Growing my own vegetables can save a lot of expenses. Maybe I can also build a chicken coop so that I don't have to buy eggs anymore. Oliver can also have protein every day. Having made up my mind, I returned to the villa and looked around for tools to dig the ground. With great difficulty, I found the small door of the warehouse in a corner. As soon as I opened it, I saw Oliver curled up on the ground, sound asleep. A shabby sheet was spread in the compartment that was less than 2 square meters in size. There were several folded old clothes and shoes by the wall, and there were also a shovel and various tools standing in the corner. With these things there, the already small space looked even more crowded. Oliver was curled up in the middle, sleeping soundly. Hearing the sound of the door opening, he opened his eyes and cast a confused look. I suddenly remembered that Oliver still sleeps in the small warehouse all day long and doesn't even have a room of his own. I lifted my leg and kicked him. Get out. You're so annoying. Why are you everywhere? Go and stay somewhere else. This child is really honest. Why doesn't he sneak into the guest room to sleep when I'm not around? He blinked his eyes, got up neatly, and moved all his things out. When I found the tools and went out, Oliver was still standing at the door without moving. Why aren't you leaving yet? I frowned. What are you still standing here for? Can't you find a place to sleep on your own? Or do you take what I said as a fart? Haven't taught you a lesson for so many days? Is your skin itching for a beating? Want to get beaten up? Oliver still didn't move. What's going on? Don't you like the room upstairs? But you can't sleep in such a depressing place. You'll get sick. I stole a glance at the blackening value progress bar. It didn't move and was still stuck at that position. I gritted my teeth and fanned his face with the back of my hand. What? Do you want to sleep under my bed like a dog? It's not impossible. If you behave well, I might consider letting you sleep at the foot of the bed for one night. He slightly raised his head and locked his gaze tightly on me. A few seconds later, Oliver silently turned around and walked upstairs. The blackening value progress bar still didn't move. This is really strange. Could it be that scolding doesn't work anymore? When I returned to my room at night, I unexpectedly found Oliver curled up and sleeping under my bed. After being shocked, I walked up to him and gave him a hard kick. What are you doing here? Who let you in? Am I being too nice to you? Oliver winced in pain and let out a short grunt. But instead of curling up, he stretched his body, exposing his toned abdomen like a puppy, and even wiggled his hands back and forth. He rubbed against my feet and made little cooing sounds as if he were acting coquettishly towards me. I thought Oliver might be mentally unstable, which was why he did such a terrifying thing. Which boss in a horror dungeon would act like a dog and act coquettishly at the feet of their enemy? This is just too creepy. I quietly peeked under the bed. Oliver seemed to be fast asleep, lying motionless against the bed frame. I let out a sigh of relief. After covering him with the blanket I was using, I moved to a spot farther away from him. After I fell asleep, Oliver quietly opened his eyes in the dark. The room was quiet. All the chattering and emotionally intense voices from the day had disappeared. He was certain that his brother had been replaced. And for some unknown reason, he had to stay here. He should have gotten rid of the man when he was off guard. But when the opportunity presented itself, Oliver couldn't bring himself to do it. After putting the knife back under the bed, Oliver reached out and felt the blanket on his body. It was warm, soft, and still retained his body heat. Oliver clearly felt that his mood had become strange. He propped himself up and quietly crept over. The arm wrapped in bandages stuck out of the quilt and casually rested on the edge of the bed. Oliver observed for a while. The recovery was very good, and there were no signs of infection. He let out a sigh of relief and lay back on the ground again. Let him live for a while longer. Oliver thought so. If there are any actions that threaten his own life, kill him. In this villa with basically no entertainment activities, I get up very early every day. The first thing I do when I open my eyes is to immediately check if I'm missing any limbs. I'm very healthy, completely intact except for a little pain in my arm. I sized up Oliver, and a whole bunch of thoughts popped into my head. He looks even cuter and more handsome when he's asleep. His facial features are so good, looking that he could probably be a model. Even if I don't eat every day, just looking at this face makes me feel full of energy. I really want to touch it to see if such a good-looking face is real. Oh, he's so handsome. I feel like I'm about to be turned gay. Under the bed, the tips of Oliver's ears turned red, but he still remained motionless, pretending to be fast asleep. I didn't notice anything unusual about him and my thoughts shifted elsewhere. I need to buy some seeds today, and also some food. The weather is getting colder and colder. Oliver can't always wear those shabby clothes. I also have to buy a pair of scissors. In such a big house, there isn't even a pair of scissors. I can't even cut his hair. I got up while thinking. Oliver quickly put down his hand that was kneading the end of his hair. Let's buy him a toy too. He's like a little puppy. Buy him a toy to kill time. After getting his hair cut, Oliver seemed like a different person. His neat and short hair hung in front of his forehead, and his outstanding facial features were completely exposed. He tugged at his clothes uncomfortably, still holding a doll in his hand. When Oliver saw me in the field, he immediately put down the doll and walked over. TSK, get out of the way and stay there. I didn't forget to humiliate him while working. You can't do anything well. A good for nothing still wants to help others. You're worse than a pig or a dog. Do you think you're worthy of coming to my field? I waved the hoe in my hand quickly. What? Are you not convinced? Do you feel uncomfortable if you don't get beaten for a day? Fine. I'll soon fulfill your wish. You good for nothing. I scolded him with all the vicious phrases I could think of in my mind. There was no anger in Oliver's eyes. His mouth drooped, and he even hung his head. He looked extremely aggrieved. Seeing his appearance, I thought his darkness value would reach a new high. However, nothing happened. The progress bar remained the same as a few days ago, still stuck at the same position without moving. Moreover, I found that Oliver didn't seem to be afraid of me anymore. Every night, he would lie beside my bed and talk to me. "How is your hand? I've done all the other work. Why won't you let me help you with that piece of land? I've been very well behaved today. Can I sleep in the bed with you? Don't be angry. Here, play with this." He handed me the doll in his hand. I slapped Oliver's hand away. "Who wants to play with such a thing? Are you crazy?" The doll fell from Oliver's hand and rolled under the bed. He didn't go to pick it up. Instead, he rubbed his face against my palm. Oliver rubbed back and forth, and suddenly stuck out his tongue. Gently licking the scratch, the warm and wet feeling spread from my palm, and I shuddered all over as if I had been electrocuted. Just as I was about to scold Oliver, he quickly retracted his head as if he had a premonition. "I was wrong. Brother, I'm sorry. Please don't scold me anymore." "Okay. Your voice is hoarse from scolding me today. Forget it." Looking at Oliver's pitiful look, I sighed. I did scold him a lot today. I've been very strict with him recently. Moreover, who could bear it seeing him like this? Seeing that I had no intention of beating or scolding him, Oliver immediately moved closer. I warned him, "If you dare to bite me, I'll immediately chop off your head with a knife and then chop it into pieces to feed the dogs. In this mountain, no one will find you, and no one will save you. Did you hear that?" Oliver rolled his eyes and licked even more vigorously. In a blink of an eye, more than 2 years had passed. Instead of increasing, Oliver's blackening value decreased from 93% to 87%. Could it be that I've been too nice to him? It can't be. I clearly scold him every day. I looked at Oliver, who was cleaning. He had become much stronger than before, and even his height had increased. Sensing my gaze, instead of avoiding it, he put down the broom in his hand and walked towards me. "Brother, what's wrong?" Looking at his approaching body, I steeled myself. It's time to take drastic measures. For the sake of going home, I'll take the plunge. I slapped Oliver across the face. His face was turned to one side, and the place where the slap landed quickly turned red. "Who gave you permission to talk to me in this tone? I've been nice to you, and you really think you're someone? Let me tell you, you'll spend your whole life kneeling at my feet like a brute." To boost my momentum, I smashed the unwashed plates on the table onto the ground. The plates shattered into pieces. Fragments and sauce were scattered all over the floor. Some landed on me and Oliver, emitting a greasy smell. He reached out blankly and touched the side of his face with his fingers. Seeing his pained expression, my heart was pounding. It should increase this time, right? As a result, instead of increasing, it decreased a little. Oliver knelt down in front of me with a thud. He assumed a submissive posture and rubbed his cheek against my body. "Woof, woof. I'll always kneel at Big Brother's feet." Saying that, he moved down and licked up the sauce splashed on my skin. And then, Oliver's darkness value decreased by 0.5. I intensified the humiliation. I didn't let him eat, beat and kicked him, poured dirty water on his head, and even didn't allow him to use the bathroom at home. Oliver was very aggrieved with a head full of swill. "Then where can I wash? I'll stink if I don't wash. Isn't there a small river nearby?" I folded my arms and kept a cold face all the time. "I don't know where it is. Can you take me there?" The river water at the beginning of summer was not very cold. Oliver simply took off his clothes and got into the river. Under the moonlight, I clearly saw the distinct and powerful muscles in front of Oliver, and what would occasionally emerge from the water. I coughed lightly and shifted my gaze. Inside my chest, my heart was gradually accelerating, and my cheeks began to burn. I rubbed my earlobe and started to have wild thoughts. Has this kid taken hormones? Why is he grown so strong now? However, Oliver's genes are really strong. He's handsome, has a good figure, and he's also very strong. I'm starting to have inappropriate thoughts. I shook my head vigorously to shake off those dirty thoughts. Is it crazy to have a crush on the boss of a horror game? After calming down my mood, I checked the blackening value again. It hasn't increased. It still hasn't increased. After hitting and scolding him and even driving him out, it still hasn't increased at all? In a fit of rage, I quickly walked to the riverside and mindlessly insulted Oliver. This figure is really unbearable. Don't tell me you're proud of it? Don't even think about seducing rich girls. They won't be interested. They'll only find you disgusting. I looked down. Even the fish in the river would swim around you. What's the use of growing up so big? You're ugly and stupid. It makes people. As I was scolding, my voice gradually faded. It wasn't because I was tired or my throat hurt. But something was wrong. Something was very wrong. It seemed that things were getting out of control. I ran all the way, my mind in a complete mess. What's going on? There was no such part when I played the game. I was running in front, and Oliver was chasing after me. He hadn't even had time to put on his clothes and was holding them in his wet hands. I got even more scared and rushed forward desperately. As soon as I stepped into the bedroom, Oliver followed me in. He stood at the door, pitifully calling out, "Elder brother." I was so angry that I could hardly catch my breath, and my finger pointing at him trembled. "Get out of here. Get out. Elder brother." Instead of backing off, Oliver stepped forward and got closer to where I was step by step. My heart skipped a beat, and I kicked open the nest that Oliver had made under my bed. "Oliver, you're really something. Can't you hear what I'm saying?" I dragged and pulled, throwing Oliver and his bed out of the bedroom together. He didn't care about his quilt and still tried to squeeze into the room. "Don't drive me out, elder brother." As Oliver had grown bigger and stronger, he stood there like a rock and couldn't be pushed away. I had no choice but to pick up his favorite doll to threaten him. "If you don't get out, I'll tear it up. Believe it or not." He stopped his movements and reluctantly backed out of the door. "Elder brother, I don't want to sleep outside." Oliver still pleaded. I ignored him. After throwing the doll at him, I suddenly shut the door. The pleading voices outside the door never stopped. "Sorry, elder brother. I was wrong. I'll never dare to do it again. It's so dark outside. I'm so scared." I turned a deaf ear and pretended to be asleep. Even the next day, I still ignored Oliver. Whether he tried to talk to me or apologize to me, I ignored it all. Oliver was fidgety and followed me around all day. I originally felt a bit sorry for him, but after seeing the continuously rising blackening value, that bit of pity disappeared completely. Beating and scolding didn't work, and just kicking him out of the room made it rise by 5%. Won't I be able to go home soon if it goes on like this? Oliver, who was following me, stopped short, and his face instantly turned pale. For the next few days, I still ignored Oliver, looking at the slowly climbing blackening value. I couldn't help but start to fantasize about what to eat for the first meal after I got back. The rain outside the window grew louder, and a thunderclap sounded, pulling me out of my fantasy. The room was quiet. All I could hear was the sound of rain and thunder. I vaguely felt that something was wrong. At this time, in this kind of weather, Oliver should definitely be begging me outside the door. Why is there not a single sound today? I pushed the door open to check. The corridor was pitch black. The lights weren't on, and it was so dark that I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. "Oliver?" I called out. There was no response. I pressed the light switch. It didn't light up. There was a power outage at home. Looking at the pitch black corridor, I felt scared and retracted the foot I had stepped out. I originally wanted to look for candles in the room, but as soon as I turned around, I bumped into a solid wall. But this wall was obviously different from the other walls. It was soft in some parts and hard in others, uneven, warm, and in the middle, a blinding white light flashed. By the light, I saw the whole picture of the wall clearly. It was Oliver. What's going on? When did he come in? How could there be no sound at all? He looked at me with a complex look in his eyes, but more of it was the madness that sent a chill down my spine. "Brother." Oliver grabbed my arm. He kept coming from the place where we touched. My body immediately went weak with fear. If it weren't for Oliver supporting me, I'm afraid I would have fallen to the ground. "You can't leave. Don't you like me very much?" After the white light, The room fell into darkness again. The sense of oppression didn't disappear. Guided by him, I took a step forward. Oliver staggered, and I fell with him. A flash of white light, and I saw Oliver turn over and pin me down. He lowered his head, buried his face in my neck and rubbed against it. His voice was hoarse with a hint of sobbing. Whether it's being a dog or anything else. As long as you want, I'll do it. Don't go, brother. Don't leave me. My face was covered with Oliver's saliva. After licking my cheeks enough, he moved to my collarbone and licked and bit it back and forth. At this time, I should have pushed him away and given him a good scolding. But now I didn't dare to move at all, because I felt something else. It's so scary. I swallowed my saliva and apologized gently. Sorry, Oliver. It's my fault. Brother, I shouldn't have just driven you out. Please get up first. Okay? Let's have a good talk. Oliver responded sullenly. I thought he had agreed. Before I could breathe a sigh of relief, I suddenly felt a chill on my body. Oliver should hate me. Instead of looking at me with such a complex and eager look like now, Oliver spoke up at the right time. It's okay, brother. I like you. And you like me too. As he said that, he got closer again. All my struggles were controlled by him, and I could only be forced to accept that terrifying sense of oppression. I was stiff all over and shivering with fear. Wouldn't it hurt like hell? Can I survive this night? Sensing my fear, Oliver planted a kiss on my forehead. Don't be afraid. Brother, I won't let you feel pain. He spoke lightly, but when it really came to that point, I was in so much pain that my face was full of tears. Oliver, let go of me. I'll beat you to death today. Brother, it's okay. You'll get used to it soon. Trust me. It won't hurt. Relax. Oliver comforted me like this. I believed him. Later, I lay in bed for 3 days. It's better to be fainted by being spanked than by being beaten unconscious. Just hold on a little longer, and I'll be able to go home soon. I comforted myself. After that, I worked harder to increase Oliver's blackening value. However, the tricks of humiliation, scolding and beating no longer worked. Oliver was like a rascal. He would act coquettishly after being scolded a few words. He would lick my hand when I slapped him. When I wanted to kick him, Oliver would take the initiative to untie his clothes and let me step on them. No matter what I did, it seemed like flirting to him. Even driving him out didn't work. Oliver would always find ways to sneak in, picking the lock, climbing through the window, ambushing in the wardrobe in advance. When facing me, he was like having mind-reading skills. He could always guess my true thoughts and act coquettishly in the most irresistible way to me. Just like this, under Oliver's various seductions, we did something wrong several more times. Seeing Oliver's blackening value reach a new low, I could only pin my last hope on the protagonist group. On the day when those people appeared, I was extremely happy and lurked in the dark to observe that night. According to the progress, Sophia will find Oliver covered in wounds and then offer him help. For this part of the plot, I even specifically whipped Oliver with a branch. In the middle of the night, Oliver finally appeared, but things didn't seem to develop as in the original plot. He carried an axe, walked through the corridor, and stopped right in front of Sophia's room. I dragged him back to the room. What are you doing? What do you want to do with a knife at someone's door in the middle of the night? They'll mess up the house, and they're disturbing the time I spend with my brother. So I have to get rid of them. Don't worry, brother. I won't make the house dirty. I'll take them far away and then get rid of them. Oliver said with a calm expression and showed little emotion when talking about this. I kicked the knife out of his hand. Are you crazy? They're just staying here for the night. If I scare them away, how can I go home? Oliver's eyes lit up. I'm warning you. This can't happen a second time. Oliver didn't reply. I gritted my teeth and said, Oliver, do I have to give you a good beating for you to remember? He blinked, picked up the branch he used yesterday from the corner, and put it in my hand. After that, he knelt obediently at my feet. Brother can beat me however he wants. Oliver's eyes were full of barely concealed excitement. He inched forward and rubbed against me gently in front of me. Anywhere. After that day, several people had accidents one after another. fell down the stairs and broke a leg. Was hit on the head by an old and dilapidated chandelier. Sophia also had her long hair cut off. I don't even need to think to know who did it. But Oliver always pretended to be unaware. They're just not suitable to live here. Brother, please ask them to leave quickly, so you don't have to worry about them every day. I had no choice but to go to Sophia myself and try to steer the plot back on track. I ordered Oliver to stay in the room and then I actively knocked on Sophia's door. She was wearing pajamas and her half-cut short hair was in a mess. Hello? Is there something wrong so late? There is something. It's about my younger brother. I averted my gaze. He's injured and I'm not good at dealing with it. I heard you've learned. What's wrong with your hand? Sophia exclaimed, interrupting my words. She grabbed my hand and pulled it in front of her. Oh my God, it's bleeding. I took a look. It was the wound scratched by the branch just now. There were several scratches across the palm, oozing blood. It's okay. It's just a scratch. Compared to this, my younger brother. I was interrupted by Sophia again. Come in quickly. I'll disinfect it for you. Otherwise, it's easy to get infected. Without further ado, she dragged me in and closed the door. Sophia rummaged through her luggage and found the disinfection tools, then carefully cleaned the wound on my hand. It hurt a bit, but compared to this, I cared more about another thing. A young man and a young woman. With such careful care. Isn't this supposed to be the plot between Oliver and Sophia? Why has it become the plot between me and Sophia? I was fidgety and kept looking back at the door. It was quiet outside the door. There was nothing else except the sound of rain outside the window. However, I was still uneasy, always feeling that something was about to happen. Is it done? Sophia shook her head. Wait a minute. The splinters haven't been cleaned up yet. Every second felt like a year to me. Sophia noticed my nervousness. She leaned over and patted me on the shoulder with a smile. Why are you so nervous? Could it be that someone is going to arrest you? As soon as she finished speaking, the door was kicked open. Oliver looked gloomy. His gaze swept across the room and finally landed on me and Sophia. Brother, you told me to wait in the room, but you went to someone else's room for a date. Can't I satisfy you? The blackening value soared all the way. Oliver lifted his leg and was about to kick Sophia. I quickly stepped in front of her. I couldn't even bear this kick. If it landed on Sophia, wouldn't she die in the room with a snap? Wait, Oliver. This is a misunderstanding. Oliver turned his head and his gaze landed on me. You feel sorry for her? I was stunned by what he said. You've only known each other for less than 5 days, and you already feel so sorry for her? The last bit of his remaining rationality was covered by anger. When he looked at Sophia, his eyes were fierce and angry. Sure enough, I should have dealt with them earlier. Oliver reached out towards Sophia. I grabbed his wrist and shouted to the back. Run. What are you standing there for? Sophia came back to her senses from the panic. She hurriedly got up and ran outside without looking back. I stood in front of Oliver to stop his actions. As several people fled, Oliver's darkness value finally reached 100% at this moment. A prompt indicating the completion of the task popped up on the panel. I could go home. Oliver suddenly stood still on the spot. He came to his senses from his rage and ran towards me in a panic. Brother, don't go. Don't go. He pressed me into his arms and kept pleading. Please, I only have you. Don't leave me. Please. I realized that Oliver probably knew from the beginning that I wasn't the real person. That's why he behaved strangely and the plot deviated from the right track. I'm not your brother. My name is Lucas. In the final countdown, I confessed my identity. He shook his head frantically, and the strength in his arms tightened even more. Lucas? Oliver repeated my name over and over. Don't go, Lucas. I'll be obedient. Don't go. I won't hurt others anymore. Please. Please don't abandon me. Oliver's eyes were filled with tears, and he kept pleading. I felt a sour and uncomfortable feeling in my heart. After getting along with him for such a long time, it's impossible not to have any feelings. But I can't stay here. Suddenly, my vision went black. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my rental apartment. It was quiet and bright all around. The computer screen was flickering and stopped at the clearance page. Everything in the room remained the same. It seemed that all the experiences before were just my illusion. I just sat there in a daze. I should be happy to get rid of that terrifying situation. But I couldn't be happy at all. Whether at work or during rest. I was always thinking about Oliver. Even in my dreams. His figure often appeared. After many days, I opened that game again. Looking at the loading page, I felt nervous. Will I be sucked into the game again? Can I see Oliver again? Will he still remember me? The game finished loading, and the familiar house layout appeared on the screen. I waited for a while. Nothing happened. It's just that the game perspective seems to have become strange. Instead of controlling the protagonist, it's more like an individual acting at will. I pursed my lips and adjusted the perspective to look for Oliver's trace. The corridor was in a mess, filled with sundries everywhere. And occasionally there were still scattered bloodstains. Those bloodstains were fresh, obviously left not long ago. Following those traces, I saw Oliver and his long, disappeared stepbrother. Oliver stood in the middle of the living room, coldly watching his blood-covered stepbrother struggle. Even in a situation where he might lose his life at any time, he still kept provoking Oliver. Hey, I haven't seen you for a while. You've become very capable. You even dare to take action against me. It seems that he has taken good care of you. But what's the use of being well taken care of? Didn't he just abandon you and run away? You ugly good for nothing. No one in the world would want to stay by your side. Your parents loathe you. I hate you. And even he has abandoned you. Don't you understand? You're even worse than trash. Oliver stepped on his face and ground it back and forth. The sound of bones breaking was clear, which made one's hair stand on end. My heart tightened. I don't want Oliver to kill someone. Oliver, who was still applying force, suddenly stopped. He turned around in disbelief, his gaze scanning around. Finally, Oliver's gaze stopped at a corner of the room and directly met mine through the screen. Without hesitation, he retracted his foot and walked towards my position. I held my breath. Was it an illusion? The next second, Oliver reached out his hand. His long and strong fingers penetrated the screen and pressed on the edge of the table. Immediately afterwards, it was his other hand. Head, shoulders, waist. Oliver knelt on the computer desk, looking down at me from below. The emotions in his eyes were surging and changing, including shock, confusion, excitement. Finally, only excitement and madness remained. Finally, I found you. Extra. The office area was noisy. Several colleagues gathered together, whispering to each other. Did you see that just now? That handsome guy downstairs? Yes, I did. Oh my God. He's like a male model. He's amazing. I'll go ask for his line after work. Are you coming? Definitely. After work. I followed the crowd out of the building. There was something surrounded by the crowd in front of the door. I looked up and saw it was Oliver. He looked extremely annoyed and kept rejecting requests to exchange contact information. Even so, there were still people who refused to give up and walked up to him with their QR codes in hand. Many people couldn't squeeze in and stood outside whispering to each other. He's married, right? Look, he's wearing a ring on his hand. I'm so envious of his girlfriend. I wish I could have such a handsome boyfriend too. The ring they were talking about was a couple's ring we had custom made after Oliver and I confirmed our relationship. Back then, he resorted to all sorts of means just to get an official status. He threw tantrums and played tricks and deliberately seduced me. Even though it happened a year ago, I still can't help laughing when I think about it now. Through the human wall, I called out to him. The moment he saw me, the impatience on Oliver's face disappeared instantly. He squeezed out of the crowd and hugged me tightly in his arms. Oliver hugged and nuzzled me and kissed me on the lips several times. Did anyone harass you today? After getting my answer, Oliver smiled with a curl of his lips. You've had a hard day. Let's go home. I've cooked a lot of dishes. Oliver and I left under the heart-broken gazes of the crowd. At night, Oliver started to cling to me again. He shuffled around and groaned softly. Isn't it okay today? It's been many days since I last got intimate with Big Brother. Indeed, it has been many days Since I started working overtime, Oliver has been forced to abstain from sex. More than half a month has passed from the first day until now. I was aroused by Oliver, but I didn't want to let him have it so easily. Seeing his actions becoming more and more wanton, I kicked Oliver in the chest. No, I'm very tired today. As if he didn't hear me. He grabbed my ankle with one hand and stroked it upwards. Hey, wait. No matter what I said, Oliver turned a deaf ear and even went too far. In a fit of anger, I slapped Oliver across the face. The slap was crisp, making his side face turn red. However, the desire in his eyes didn't fade because of a slap. Instead, it burned even more fiercely, and with deep obsession. He clung to me. He grabbed my ankle and stepped on himself, humming softly all the time. Big brother, go on. You can do whatever you want, as long as you kiss me. Tut. I shouldn't have rewarded him.